And a good evening to you on Q92 Sports Facebook page, as well as Twitter and the Q92 YouTube from St. Haralambos Greek Orthodox Church on 25th and Harvard Northwest in Canton. It is the annual football coaches preview show for high school football in Stark County, a night where we will hear from a number of coaches across Stark County and for fans of the game that really enjoy it so very, very much. Jon Bozeka along with you with the hope of Jake tonight, as well as Ryan Keller. We are all here. Ryan's going to be grabbing the coaches and bringing them over here, and we'll be talking to them. Jake keeping us running here online on StreamYard and making sure that you guys are able to be part of this. Like I mentioned, every coach will be here. The hope is that we'll be able to talk to each and every one of them. And we'll tell you who those coaches are now. That way you are aware of who they are. Tim Goodman from Alliance, Matt Dennison, the head coach from Canton South, Jeff Lindesmith from Canton Central Catholic, East Canton head coach John Spider Miller, AJ Sarbaugh, who's had a really great early career so far at Fairless, Scott Garcia back for his second run at Glen Oak, trying to get things back on track for the Golden Eagles. Brian Baum from Hoover. Jay Rohr enters his second year at Jackson. Dan DeGeorge and Lake coming off of a run last year to the regional final where they were 12-2 on the season. Chris Kappas enters his first year as the head man of the Louisville Leopards. Joe Cardinal takes over in his first season at Marlington. Massillon head coach Nate Moore returns for another year after a trip to the state semifinal last season where they fell to Hoban. McKinley brings back the alum and coach who's trying to get the program back to its roots with Antonio Hall. Tim Speakman enters his second year at Minerva. John DeMarco back at Northwest. Zach Slates at Perry. St. Thomas head coach Kevin Henderson enters his first year. Brian Gamble, the head man at Sandy Valley, and Tuslaw's head coach is Matt Gulling. Was before him Mark Gulling, his brother, and it's been a Gulling at the helm at Tuslaw for quite a few years now. You know, it's exciting this time of year. You get to the point to where it is the start of the season, and you hear the coaches give a preview of what's to expect this season and who the players are to watch, and you get kind of an early idea of what you're going to have going to this year. I thought of some questions kind of overnight coming into today that I was thinking about, and obviously there's a lot of players that are top of mind for people. I was actually starting to kind of make a list because our season is going to start next week as well with our coverage of these games. We start on Thursday night on Q92 with Perry against Canton Central Catholic. And on the stream, I'll have the call of this one between Sandy Valley and Fairless. Then Friday night, big matchup between Valdosta and Massillon kicks off the Friday night coverage on Q92, AM 1310 WDPN. We'll welcome Christian Bigglesworth back into the booth. He'll have the call between Alliance and Lake next week to kick things off. And then our 5 stream games that we bring you each and every week of the season. Bookdale against Hoover, McKinley against Warren Harding, Mentor versus Jackson, Louisville versus New Philly, and West Branch versus Canfield. That's our week 1. I know where I am both nights. I'm at Sandy Valley versus Fairless the first night and West Branch versus Canfield the second night. I know Ryan Keller, who's here, he'll be at McKinley and Warren Harding that first Friday night with Mike Voorhees. So we're excited. You know, we're getting ready for the season. We've really been ready for the season. We've been selling the heck out of this thing going all the way back to like March, getting ready for football. So it's really exciting in that regard. So as for the teams this year and some of the thoughts that I had entering the year, you look back to last season and there were a couple that really stood out. Lake was a huge, feeling of relief for that community to have a team that was back at that level. You know, you go back to the teams of the 90s with Jeff Durbin and with, players like Matt Christopher, and even back to the days of the Viscounts and some of the folks that went through there. Always great football. And, you think of a Jim Luther, you think of the teams they had throughout the 2000s that made runs. And then last year, between Will Butler and Cale Jarvis and Evan Brady and some of the pieces they had on defense and what they were able to do on both sides of the ball, they really became a special team. Matt Solberger, the running back, unfortunately got hurt late in the year. I think it kind of stemmed their ability to move on even further. Could have had the chance to potentially even play Massillon in a closer game come by the time that they make it to the state semifinal last year. But the injury definitely played a role in that for Lake and played a role in the game overall. But they return a lot this year. There's a lot to like. No Will Butler this season, who was the Federal League Player of the Year last year. However, they return Cale Jarvis, the quarterback. Christopher, who's going to be at, running back and play a little bit of defense this year. And he's the son of Matt Christopher. There's high expectations for him. And then also you factor in Nate Baker, who's back on the outside. There's just some nice key core pieces to make up what should be a good team again going into this year. You always have to talk about the Massillon Tigers. As long as Nate Moore has been there, the expectations for that program have been sky high. They've played in the state championship game now 3 times. They have yet to get over that hump of the state title, but they have been very close. Losing to Hoban the first time, Jameer Thomas got hurt the week before. Second time going against an extremely talented LaSalle team, and Massillon was right there in the game. And then third time, the COVID year, when they played Hoban over at Massillon in what was a change in the last minute from where the games were supposed to be played at Fortress Obetz down in Columbus just a couple years ago. Kind of crazy to think that was 3 years ago now, but that's obviously where that sits. And there is a key piece to replace this year if you're Massillon. You have to find somebody who can take over the role for Wiltrell Hartson that he had going from last year. One of the it's tough to say one of the great backs in Massillon history because there have been simply so many of them that it's tough to quantify where you would put him in terms of the great backs in Massillon history. Just thinking down through the years, going all the way back to the years of Paul Brown and through to Chuck Mather and through to the 50s and Leo Strang and Earl Bruce in those years. And just, as I said, it's hard to quantify that. You can say that one player is obviously at the top of that list, but the things Wiltrell did in his 3 years at the stint of being the head back were nothing short of amazing and record-breaking, if you will say so. They return Jalen Slaughter this year. Dorian Pringle is going to play an up-and-coming role on that team, amongst other things as well. A couple of other teams that I kind of pieced together notes for that I think really look positive coming to this year. Canton South. I was high on the Canton South bandwagon last year. You ask anybody at Q92, and I was like begging towards the end of the year to see Poochie Snyder play because he is a game-breaking type of player that you just kind of have to see and have to be there to, witness what he does. He's within a stone's throw of potentially reaching the all-time passing mark in Stark County history set by Cam Blair not too long ago at Sandy Valley. That's well within his reach with another great season since he played so much. So you never know. And another program that we're obviously going to be thinking a lot about this year is the Perry Panthers. And first coach of the night is stepping in with us here, hopefully, as it appears that we've got not only a great coach, not only a great man, but Coach Slates, if you want to step in, Coach Zach Slates of the Perry Panthers stepping in here. He'll be our first, I guess, contestant of the night, if you will, or first man to sit down with us. Coach, you're a Greek yourself. You're in your home. You're in your home here a little bit this evening. Coach, it's great to see you. Great to chat with you. Can you believe we're already this close to the football season?
Yeah, I mean, they just keep bumping it up further and further. I was talking to Coach Wick the other day about how I think it was my junior year, we had 18 two-a-days. and we had 10 camp days leading up to it. So we went 28 days. It's pretty hard, and now we got 7 essentially. So
tell me about the team going to this year. Obviously 4-7 last year, a 4-2 start, some really, really nice quality wins early in the year. And then I think a young group kind of tailed off at the end. What do you forecast going into this year, Coach?
yeah, I mean, we're still going to be young. We played a lot of sophomores last year, and we only have a senior class that has 9 kids in it. So we don't have a lot of seniors playing, and we got a lot of young guys. They got trial by fire last year. We had a lot of injuries, and they got a lot of work. So it was good for them moving on to this year to get some quality playing time against some really good opponents, and they're going to be better for it this year.
Zach Slate's our first guest here, the head football coach of the Perry Panthers, entering another year in Perry and trying to, I guess, close in on what the predecessor of him did with Coach Wakefield. You mentioned that relationship. How often do you two still talk, and how often is that a conversation that you guys are having?
Yeah, he was going to be helping Buckeye Trail. Some things didn't work out, so he's been coming up a couple days a week and working with us and working with the kids and the coaches, helping us out. And yeah, I mean, I talked to him. I mean, before that, even at least once a week before that, and now I'm getting plenty of my fill of Coach Wake. He's helping out. It's great. So,
couple of guys that I'm thinking about coming from last season that I know really kind of stepped onto the scene last year even more. Carson Basham, key for you guys last year. He's back this season. Austin Maddox back as your quarterback. Ryder Hartshorn, I believe, is back. Christian Ivanek, who had a great season last year. I know there are others, but let's kind of talk about some of the key pieces coming back in, those guys that I mentioned, what you've seen from them in camp so far.
Yeah, all those guys have done a great job. Carson had an injury in our scrimmage, so he's going to be out for a little bit. But yeah, those guys have done a great job in the offseason. They worked really hard. Austin has gotten those receiver guys together and have been working all winter. They've gone to a couple different places to work, and no, it's been really good. There's been some good leadership in the offseason. Kids really enjoyed doing that extra work with Austin and catching balls and doing those types of things. So it's been good.
2 more quick thoughts for you. One, I know it's the question that a Perry coach gets every year, but are you going to pass the ball more this season?
Yeah, we are.
You are?
That's part of our plan. So we did a little bit more last year, and it was just tough with a sophomore quarterback again, going back to back. But now he's got a year experience and some quality offseason work, and yeah, I mean, we got some receivers. We had our freshman quarterback from last year's a 6'4" basketball player who can jump out of the gym, and we moved him to receiver. And Luke Wolf's a 6'6" receiver for us. Kyson Walker has done a great job. He's a speedy guy. So yeah, I mean, we got plenty of guys out there, and we're going to use them.
I used to say that it was Coach Wakefield's nightmare that he'd wake up with night sweats thinking about having to run a shotgun-based offense. But obviously, Coach Zach Slate's entering another season for Perry. You open off the season to that Thursday night. How special has it been to be a part of that every year and be a part of kind of the start of the football season in Stark County?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's nice to be one of the only games that is playing on Thursday, and we get a little bit more fan base coming out to the games, and it being a mile down the road from each other. It's a good rivalry for our kids, and it's a good way to start the season off.
Battle of 13th Street will kick it off Thursday. We'll have the game right on Q92. Coach Zach Slate's first victim of the night here with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thanks for your time, and best of luck this season, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coach Zach Slates of the Perry Panthers, expecting big things going into this season. Went 4-7 last year, and obviously the expectations sky high again this year. As always in Perry, you think about some of the pieces that they have returning. 2 guys that come right to the top of my mind, and it's because last year during the stream games, we really saw them take off in the game against Canton McKinley. Carson Basham and Austin Maddox, kind of the DB slash, do it all things guy in Basham, and then the quarterback in Austin Maddox. I think I'm really excited to see what Austin brings to the table this year. I think a lot of people are. I think he's one of those guys that really kind of rises to the top of the conversation simply because of what he showed in moments last year as a sophomore. And that's really cool when you have a returning quarterback like that. He's going to get another year under his system. He's going to get another year under his belt to figure things out, to continue to grow in Coach Slate's offense and grow in what they are doing at Perry. And that's all you can possibly ask for. Folks starting to make their way into here, the Croissant Center and at St. Helena Greek Orthodox Church. And not in the Croissant Center tonight is the event. It's actually taking place in the gym off to our left because of an event prior today at the Croissant Center that has moved the event over to the gym. So the coaches can't go into this thing without having to look at my mean, ugly mug tonight, which is unfortunate to all of you that you guys have to see it as well. But really cool to be able to chat with Coach Slates as our first discussion of the night for Perry. And, that takes you to the rest of the Federal League too. You think of what the Hoover Vikings are going to be like this year. Returning Carson Derland at quarterback, returning Mason Ashby at one wide receiver, Zach Brocker at the other wide receiver, not to mention so many other pieces to go with that, and a key player that transferred in the offseason as well with Kyler Miraglia, was expected to be senior running back for Northwest, trading one school to another and going over to North Canton, and he will be a key piece this season for Coach Baum and the North Canton Hoover Vikings. I think that'll be really interesting to see what they're capable of doing, adding an explosive back like that and adding an extra piece like that. It really changes the thought process going to the year of a team that was already really good last year. Went 8-4, made it to the second round of the playoffs, ended up falling there. But Coach Baum has taken that program from when he started to being towards the bottom of the league to the middle part of the league. And now the last couple of years, he's gotten that program to the expectation that he's wanted to set, which is competing for Federal League championships every year. 2 years ago, won it outright. Last year was in the conversation all season, had a couple of tough losses, one to McKinley, one to Lake. They beat Jackson to end the year. And overall, I think the story of the season was watching Carson Derland go from being the young sophomore that had to take over in relief of an injury his sophomore year to ending up becoming the starter and the guy now for Coach Baum and for what the Vikings have done. Another program to look at, obviously McKinley, returning quite a bit. When you talk about a team that is really going to be special this year, potentially, I think everyone and their brother is mentioning the Canton McKinley Bulldogs, and for good reason. You return a really good quarterback in Keaton Rohde. You return Nino Hill, who's an excellent running back. Dante McClellan, who already has an offer from USC on the table, which, by the way, I think they play in the Big Ten now, or do they play in the Pac-10, or do they play in the Big 12, or do they play in the WAC, or do they – I don't know where these college teams are playing anymore, but obviously already has an offer from a Power 5 conference school, which is pretty cool. And as I say that, we are going to welcome in another coach here to the discussion with the head coach of Sandy Valley and Brian Gamble, who is back at the helm for another season of Cardinal ball down in Magnolia. Coach Brian Gamble, thanks for joining me, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Coach, 4-6 last season, injuries, other issues throughout the year, a young team. Let's talk about going into 2023, what you see. I know you return a talent at quarterback. There's other weapons that I'm sure that are going to surround him. What do you see going into this season?
Well, the key element there is just, staying healthy, especially at a, Division 5 school or any school for that matter. For us, it's about staying healthy. It's about, we have a lot of guys returning, but it's also just, again, if we're able to do that, and we're just going to keep stacking our chips. I think that when you talk about like our leadership, I think that's a big aspect for us. I think it's a really big aspect for us, and we're learning to practice. Trying to gel together, trying to get together, and just doing all the right things. Fundamentals and all that stuff. I think just being able to check all those boxes are so important, and being able to do that, I think is just, again, we just keep stacking days and keep doing that. We're going to be fine. Obviously we know the talent that we have coming back. We're really excited about. Starting with our quarterback, and we have most of our receivers are back, and basically our offense is back. Minus 2 players, and we're real excited about all those weapons and everything. It's nice to familiar faces. They know the system, and it's really smooth to just go every day of practice. The expectations. They know the bar, and just go out there and execute it.
Coach Brian Gamble of the Sandy Valley Cardinals. Coach, I did want to ask you, you had a player for 4 years in Cam Blair. He's been graduated now for a couple of years, but the bar that he set for groups following him, how important was that to have a guy like that could set that bar for generations to follow him?
Yeah, it's, I don't know how many coaches have had, again, I think he's the all-time leading passer, in Stark County history. And, he just to have a type of player like that, of that magnitude, and just for his overall presence and his leadership. He's at Ashland now. He's rotating with the ones right now, and he's doing a great job. But he comes into our workouts too, in June and stuff, for him to stay sharp. He's throwing, he's working with Nick Petros, throwing to our receivers. He's in there with another arm. It's another. Talk about another camp arm. Well, he's another arm for us. That's a dang good arm. So. Just to have him around, still, and see the guys, in his Ashland stuff grinding, I think is huge, and just like I said, at our school, and now, what the expectations are, and the standard and all that, just a guy like that, and his, what he does and what he brings to Stark County now with, I know he's doing like quarterback school, and he does other things around. It's nice for him to give back, and like I said, it's just for him to set the bar like that, and to do what we've done in that past, is now, the expectation and the standard here.
And that's the thing. Last question I want to ask you, or kind of 2 thoughts here, and I'll let you answer these both separately. We'll start with this, but that standard that you do set, I think when you were just starting there, and obviously before you, coaching staff before you, Zach Gardner, had kind of set that standard of let's try to make the playoffs. And now since you've been there, it's been, let's not just make the playoffs, let's make it the goal each and every season. Talk about building that culture.
That is, people throw around the word culture a lot. They use it a lot. In my experience at a school that's never had it before, like a winning type of culture, I've been there for 15 years. Before Coach Gardner and all that, just, so I've seen a lot through there. But to go through all that, it is a process. It is building and chipping away at it. It's tough to just, show up overnight, hit a switch, and, now we're winning. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So to do all those things, you have to build it from the ground up. You have to build a foundation, and then you have to just again just go from each and every level of the sport to make it an overall kind of revolving successful program, I guess. And so to do all those things, it takes time. That's it. It takes time and patience, just all those things are huge for us, and for Sandy Valley, to have consistency, for having, a familiar face there, where everybody, that when they come to work, they know who they're working for, and just to have that consistent foundation of the coaches, and then our strength coaches, and our, just everybody that's involved in it. I think when you have consistency throughout whatever you're doing, whatever it's a sport, or a job, or wherever else, but if you have that consistency and you have it, what the expectations are, I think that's a huge step to building that, what we call the culture.
Coach, we'll end it there. That's a great thought to end this interview on. And Coach, we appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah.
Coach Brian Gamble, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Absolutely.
Sandy Valley and Fairless, one of our first stream games of the year. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Best of luck this year.
Thank you.
Coach of the Sandy Valley Cardinals and Brian Gamble joining us, and going to welcome in a new member to the fraternity here. I don't know that he was ready to be welcomed in quickly like this, but it's the unfortunate world of being a head coach in Stark County, or the fortunate world of being a head coach in Stark County. Chris Kappas, the head coach of the Louisville Leopards. Coach, it's great to meet you.
Oh, great to meet you.
Welcome to Stark County here. This is kind of how we do things down here. You welcome into these things and you get interviewed and you just become part of the crew very quickly. Coach, taking over first year at Louisville, and obviously you enter to a program that is rich with history. But tell us who Chris Kappas is.
Yeah, so I'm a developer of men. I love football. I love working with young kids, young men, and helping them reach their fullest potential as people, as football players. And I think that, directly translates to life on to go out and be leaders in our world. And that, that's my passion. I've been blessed to have a lot of different opportunities to do that at the college level. And, it was time for me and my family to take a little bit of a different direction. And, the opportunity came out at Louisville, and it couldn't have worked out in a better situation with a lot of great people in a town that loves football. So been blessed so far, and get a chance to continue working with kids.
Yeah, I mean, a football rich town. They love the game. They pack Leopard Stadium on Friday nights. From your perspective, Coach, entering a program that you've seen for a couple months now, you've been working into 2 days now and things like that. What has to change from a culture perspective to get the program where you want it to be?
We got to flip the mindset. And that's been my goal since January, since day one we walked in, just when I was interviewing for the job, and just kind of get a feel out if this was something I want to do. I think that was the biggest thing that I found, is that, we play a tough schedule, and that is what it is. But a lot of people just, they almost throw their hands up and say, well, we're never going to be good if we don't start playing, getting a conference or anything like that. But, the talent's there, the resources are there. So the biggest thing for me is just trying to flip the mindset of not just our players, but everyone in the town, to just have belief and trust in the process, and really getting these kids to buy into a championship process, which, I learned from my days of playing for and working under Larry Karras at Mount Union. And then, a couple other places that I've been, learning from some really good head coaches in college football. So just really getting these guys to buy in, and getting everybody else to buy in too.
Yeah, we've heard that Karras guy was pretty good. That's what we've been told.
He was all right.
Last thing for you, putting those expectations on the kids of raising that bar, what do you feel the buy-in has been to that so far?
I think it's been outstanding, and like a credit to our senior class. Their last year coming in, they haven't experienced much success in their couple of years, so they're really hungry. They've been putting in the work. They've never given up hope, which is something we talk about all the time, being relentless and always having hope. And I think that we're going to maximize what we can get out of these kids this year, and whether that's 1 win or 10 wins. We're doing things the right way, and these kids are going to leave our program ready to go, be dominant in life, and expect greatness from themselves, from their families, from their coworkers, from everybody around them, and make people better. So that's the ultimate goal, and we're going to follow that process. And at some point, once we follow that process long enough, it's going to, the results are going to show up in the field. So,
Coach, we're excited to see you in that blue on the sideline, and wish you the best of luck this year.
Appreciate you. Thanks so much for having me on.
Coach Chris Kappas, first-year head man of the Louisville Leopards, taking over, and really excited to see what's going to happen out in Leopard Country this year. It's such a tradition-rich program, and lucky enough now to have a guy join me here that I kind of know pretty well, and have done a broadcast or two with him in my day, and that's the head coach of the Fairless Falcons, and AJ Sarbaugh. Coach, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you, John?
Good. It's good to have you here, and it's good to be chatting with you. Another season upon you. I was just talking to Coach Kappas, and I brought up the idea of building up that culture. And no matter who you talk to in the county, former coaches, current coaches, they'll tell you one of the guys that's built a culture in the time that he's been somewhere is Coach Sarbaugh at Fairless. What's it taken for you to get the program where it's at now, Coach?
That's a really good question. I get asked that a lot, John, and there's a lot of things. I mean, we've got outstanding administration, superintendent, principal, AD. Our booster club has been second to none. The things that they now get for our kids. My coaching staff hasn't changed in 4 years. Our parents have bought in. They've been outstanding. And our kids have worked hard. They've done everything we've asked them to do. They're hungry. They want to win, and they want to keep putting Fairless on the map and continue to grow our program and what we've created. So it's not just one person. It's not just one group. There's a lot of people that have helped turn this thing into a successful program right now.
Coach, last year, a team that was 9-3 won a playoff game, and you've made the playoffs now a couple years in a row. It's starting to trend in that direction. Winning a playoff game is huge. You've got some special pieces back this year. What's it going to take that step following that and not just win a game, but go on a little run?
I think the most important thing is you got to stay healthy. The Pac-7's really good, and we play Sandy Valley in the opener, which Coach Gamble's got 22 guys back. He only had 2 seniors, so he literally has every starter back. Your kids have to believe in what you're doing. You got to catch some breaks, and you win with seniors. I think at the end of the day, like, you can have talented underclassmen, but your seniors are going to carry you. I really like our seniors. They're really good kids. They're hard workers. I've had them since they were in 7th grade. So at the end of the day, I think if your senior leadership is really good, you're going to have a chance. And they know what it takes to win now. Our seniors, we won the league last year and in 21, and we played for the league title in 20. So they've been a part of that winning culture. They've never had a losing season, so they don't know what that's like. They haven't experienced it, which is a good thing. And they want to continue to grow and win and have success.
Last thing for you, there's going to be 2 names thrown around a lot this year in the county, and they rhyme. That's Pucci and Colucci. And I'm sure you've heard that so many times that it probably makes you nauseous at this point. But how cool is it to have one of those 2 guys that's considered one of the 2 dudes in the Pac-7? And there's a lot of dudes in the conference.
Oh, yeah.
But what does it mean to have one of the 2 quarterbacks that everyone's talking about?
I'm just really fortunate. Carson is a outstanding kid. I've had him in the classroom, had him in basketball, had him in football for 4 years. He's a coach's kid, an extremely hard worker, studies the game. He wants to do well, and he's a Fairless kid through and through. His grandpa played at Fairless. His uncles and his dad played at Fairless. His brothers played at Fairless, and he wants to leave his legacy. But he's as good as they get. He loves Fairless football, and I'm very fortunate I've gotten the opportunity to coach him. Hopefully we have more than 10 games with him, but that's what we're guaranteed right now. But it's going to be sad when it's over with Carson. He's had an outstanding career, and hopefully he has one more outstanding year for us.
Got Peter Kelly to go along with him, some other little fun pieces that are sprinkled in there. Coach AJ Sarbaugh, it's great to see you, my friend.
Great to see you too, John.
As always.
Glad to have you.
Best of luck this season. I will see you next Thursday for the opener.
We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a full house.
We can't wait. We can't wait. Head
Thanks,
coach
John.
AJ Sarbaugh. Absolutely, Coach. AJ Sarbaugh stopping by, the head coach of the Fairless Falcons. Really excited about what's in store for them this year. And obviously because I've gotten to know AJ so well over the years, just such a special guy in terms of what he's able to do and get done and become part of really a special program. And talk about a guy that, is a builder of men, if you will, a motivator in the highest way possible. Coach John Spider Miller of the East Canton Hornets is a guy that definitely comes to the top of my list with that. Coach Spider Miller stopping by right now. Coach,
hi, buddy. How are you?
How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, thanks. Good.
It's great to see you.
I see you too.
Hey, it's football season, almost here. It's coming right up.
It's 12 months out of the year,
You
buddy.
still enjoying it?
Oh, I love it.
You love it?
Yep, I sure do.
Tell me about East Canton this year. 4-6 last year. A number of close calls where you guys were right there at the end of games, had opportunities. Going into another season like this, and I know you and I have talked about this before. You've coached at the big schools. You're coaching at a small school. I know you have enjoyed both stops, but what continues to make this a fun experience for you?
I just enjoy it. It's obviously a smaller school, little tight-knit community, which has been very supportive, which is awesome. And we get the kids out. We coach the ones that we can get out. We don't have a lot of kids this year. We have 26, ninth grade up to seniors. So we'll be playing some freshmen on the offensive line and maybe one in the secondary. But you know what? It's just enjoying to be there anytime I can get up and go to work and be around kids. And I teach my 6 classes and coach football, and that's what we love to do.
Coach, when you had first taken over, it was a program that hadn't really tasted the playoffs in a number of years. You took them to the playoffs. You took them on runs. What's got to change amongst the group to get them back to that standard that was set when you started, that you're going to win those close games at the end opposed to falling on the other end?
I think, just by working hard in the off season makes a big difference. When you're at a smaller school, one of the biggest differences is you get somebody hurt. It's not like we have 55 kids and just pick one off out of there and put them in. But, that's what hurt us a little bit last year. We lost both our tailbacks and linebackers. They both went both ways. And, that's not an excuse. It's just reality. They were pretty good football players for us. But as long as we can stay healthy and we'll compete, we'll fight, we'll do what we got to do.
For you, and I know this might be interesting, and I'm only going to ask you this because Coach Henderson, who's over here, St. Thomas, just pointed you and said he's old. And I want to ask you, for you, having been in it as long as you have, the communication that you have with the kids, the way that things have changed over the years, how have you continued to adapt with the game, and how have they continue to adapt to love your coaching style?
Well, they're just going to have to adapt to the old school way. That's just how I was brought up, doing it that way. And, it's just being disciplined and accountable, and that's what we're still shooting for. I think you have to do that, not just football or school, but in the real world.
Agreed.
So we try to push people to do those things and lead them in the right direction to be successful in life, not just in football. But, you do adapt to the kids a little bit, obviously, with all this technology that's out there.
Are you on Twitter?
No.
No?
I don't know.
Are you on Facebook?
No.
No. See,
Go ahead. Keep asking.
I'm not going to ask about TikTok.
No.
But your kids mention it a lot.
Oh yeah, they do. I don't have time to do that. It's just not me. If I get an extra minute to do something, I'm usually doing something at home. Doing some work or chores that I have to get done. So, no, they're not going to get me to do that.
He's still one of the best around, and we always appreciate him stopping by and chatting with us. Coach Jon Spider-Miller, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was great. Thanks. Nice seeing you again.
You too.
Thanks.
Too. We'll see you this season, Coach. Absolutely. Coach Jon Spider-Miller, head coach of the East Canton Hornets, expecting the highest expectations this year, as he does every season for his kids down in Austinburg Township, and that's the expectation that he's been able to set over the years for a program that, you look down through the years, there's been success. There's been, years of playoff runs. There's been years of great things. And, Coach, a new one welcoming to the scene. Not a new one. You guys know him. He's been around. He's worn different colors before. Go ahead, put it on. He's worn different colors. He's been on different sidelines. Most recently, he was on the Sandy Valley sideline a lot. Canton McKinley sideline. But he's worn red. He's worn, he's worn blue. He's worn a lot of different colors. But now he's wearing black and gold, I guess you should say, as that's Kevin Henderson, the new head coach of St. Thomas Aquinas. Coach, thanks for stopping by with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Coach, it's been some years since you've held the head role somewhere. Mm-hmm. I know you did it at Timken, and you've had success with it at different schools. Tell me what it's like to be back and promoted into that head role again.
Well, it's different. The kids are certainly different than they were just a few short years ago. But one thing remains constant, and that is that they are eager to be coached, eager to learn, and they just want to contribute to getting things turned around for us.
You look at a program here in St. Thomas, a state championship back in the 80s. Coach Jack Rose had built a great thing. There's been great teams throughout the years. And I think everyone asks it every year, what's it going to take for a team that has a limited amount of kids to reach that potential again, Coach?
Well, I think it takes undying belief in what has happened. You mentioned the state championship, and that was in 1984. That was one of the first things that I noticed when I walked into the locker room over the coach's door. State championship 1984 Division 4. So I tell our kids, we have a real one. That's a real state championship, and we can build on that. And not many teams around the county can say that.
Taking this role, you've got some big games that come with it. You've got the Holy War towards the end of the year. You guys play a tough schedule. Talk to me about playing a tough schedule, playing in the Holy War, and the importance of those games to you.
Well, where we're at right now, we're just my motto right now is, I stole it from Al Davis. Al Davis said, just win, baby. I tell our kids, one win, baby. It's been a long time since we've had that first win. So we can't look and put the cart before the horse. We have to take it day by day, step by step, one game by one game, and that's where we're at. We're preaching one win, baby. We get that first one, the more will come.
The new Al Davis of Stark County, Coach Kevin Henderson. Coach, best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by with us.
Appreciate it.
Coach Kevin Henderson of the St. Thomas Aquinas Knights. Great to hear from him, and we wish him nothing but the highest level of success this season. And we keep the coaching. I don't want to say carousel because it's not a carousel, but it is a certain ride of talking to different coaches here and going through the different programs. Matt Gulling, the head coach of the Tuslaw Mustangs, steps in with us to sit here at the table and have a chat about what's the expectation this coming season. Coach, I went back, I looked at the schedule from last year, 3-7. There were some really great points, but a lot of games that it seems like maybe you were in early and then kind of got away from you, but at the end, from your perspective, what's got to change going to this year to bring things to the level that you want them at Tuslaw?
Oh, just we have to be consistent. Going back and watching film and everything from last year, we killed ourselves too many times with a bad shotgun snap, a turnover, a busted assignment on defense, and unfortunately with the teams we play in such a tough league, you give them something, they're going to take advantage of it. So we just need to be consistent and put 4 quarters together.
Yeah, I think people, everyone talks about the EBC, everyone talks about the Federal League. I think people kind of overlook the Pac-7 sometimes.
Yep.
What's it like playing in it week to week? There's never a day off, is there?
No, I just look at last year. I think we had 5 teams tie for a league title.
Yeah, insanity.
So there's no breaks, there's no gimmies. And right now you got kind of Tuslaw, Manchester, Fairless, and some of these schools that were original Pac-7 schools, and it's a battle week in and week out. There's no breaks. It is often overlooked. There's great coaches and there's great talent in the league.
As far as some of the talent that we're going to see on the field down in Lawrence Township this year, who can fans expect to see kind of carrying the ball and around the ball on both sides of it?
We're going to be really young. Right now we got 55 kids on the team, and right around 40 of them are freshmen and sophomores.
Wow!
So we got some good young kids, but we got some good seniors mixed in there. Ashton Combs and Chaz Gradowski are two good linemen coming back for us. We got a new senior receiver, Spiro Smith, basketball kid that's come out, and then offensively, Joey Medore is a sophomore, going to carry the ball quite a bit for us. Ethan Hare will be the quarterback. He's another sophomore. So we're going to be young, but I feel like this is the most athleticism we've had since I've been there, and trying to build some depth. We got more depth. Unfortunately, it's all young kids, so it's going to depend on how quickly some of them grow up.
Coach Matt Gulling of the Tuslaw Mustangs. Coach, I appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Obviously, and we'll talk again later.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Coach Matt Gulling of the Tuslaw Mustangs, and we welcome in our next guy to the table, and that is a man who saw 14 weeks of football last year in head coach Dan DeGeorge of the Lake Blue Streaks. Coach, pleasure to be joined by you tonight, and I can't believe we're right back here again.
Right.
It seems like just yesterday I was talking to you underneath the stands at Parma Byers as you guys were getting ready for the regional final. Sure. I think a lot of people always wonder the question, when a team goes 12-2, you head into the next year, and the easy thing to do is to say, well, let's just follow that up and let's use those expectations. How do you follow that up, and how do you have that conversation with the kids to make things obtainable this year so that they don't compare themselves too much and shoot too high?
Sure. No, that's a great question. Last year was a nice year for us. One of the best things about playing such a long season is you get a lot of your younger kids get a lot of experience, right? But the off season needs to be better. We have challenged our kids a few times that they have to understand that last season's over. As fun as it was, and as great as it was, but we have to come back and have higher expectations. And they're high school kids, so they think they can show up and win a lot of games again. But we're doing the best we can to challenge them and get them back on track.
Last year, special kid transfers in. Will Butler ends up being the Federal League Player of the Year. I think a lot of people would start there and say you lose such a key piece. You lose Matt Solberger, but the kids that are stepping into those roles, Cale Jarvis, Nate Baker, the young Christopher kid. I know on defense, there's still a Garrow roaming around out there. There's some talent out there that's going to be known quickly, isn't there, Coach?
Oh, sure. That's what we hope for. We got a lot of kids back with experience, particularly on defense. Losing Will, losing Matthew, a handful of offensive linemen. It was a really good senior class for us. So it's always hard to replace guys. And a lot of those guys were 2-3-year starters for us, with the exception of Will. So there's some holes, and we're hoping we got some guys to step into those spots. But some of the guys you mentioned have also been starting for us since their sophomore year. So this is their third year starting on Friday night. So we'll hopefully that'll pay off.
I know that last year you guys were able to do a mix of both, and obviously the year that Matt Solberger had, he was one of the best running backs in the county. I know in the heart of hearts that you want to run the football and you want to play great defense.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like, looking at what you guys have this year, that you can continue to use that model that will find you success?
Yeah, I have a great staff, so I'm blessed there. And what we have to do is adapt to our personnel, and that's what all good coaches and coaching staffs do. I would like to run the ball, obviously, as much as we possibly can, but where our schedule and the teams we're playing, you got to sling it around a little bit to have some success. So we got to be able to do both.
Last thing there, Cale, the year that he's had, the practices that he's had this summer, he kind of played the 2 quarterback role last year with Will. How has he stepped into that role this year?
Cale's doing a great job. He's essentially started, 24 games for us now, going into a senior year. Not the biggest kid, but he's a tough kid. His knowledge of the game has extremely gotten better over the past 2 years. So he's very athletic, but knowing what he's doing and being able to read coverages and things like that will help us tremendously.
Head Coach Dan DeGeorge of the Lake Blue Streaks. Coach, we wish you the best of luck this year, and thanks for stopping by, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Head Coach Dan DeGeorge, from one color of blue to another color of blue. We welcome in the head man of the Alliance Aviators. You guys know him well through Q92 and through AM 1310 WDPN. We seem to have an Alliance game covered almost every week this season, which is great to have them there. And there's a player that Coach Tim Goodman has heard a lot about this offseason and continues to coach day in and day out. We won't start there. We'll get to that. Coach, coming off of an 8-3 season, you lose last year in the first round of the playoffs. Really a great year by all intents and purposes. You obviously fall in the league to a really good West Branch team, but how do you build on what you guys did last year?
Yeah, I think just kind of trying to re-emphasize and reinforce the things that we got established last year. Like you said, that team last year kind of set the tone. As you said, a really good year, but some goals we fell short of. So still plenty of incentive for us going into this year and some goals that we left out there. We bring a lot of guys back from that team last year. So we're excited to get going with those guys.
What's it like having a Brendan Zerbrook? And I know so many times a coach would say it's like having that additional coach on the field, but tell us about the intangible things that he does that guys like myself and Ryan and everybody else that watches the game that we don't see that he does.
Yeah, I think, and you say coach on the field, and he's the son of a former high school head coach. So he really is kind of that coach on the field. And I think the biggest thing for him is he's a guy that hates to make mistakes. So, he makes one mistake, it's going to be corrected the next time. He has hardly ever made the same mistake twice, whether it be an in-game adjustment, whether it be something that's not working well in practice. He'll go home and practice in the backyard and make sure it's fixed for the next day. But just that level of commitment to being the best he can be for us.
When it comes to success at Alliance, there's been years that have been undefeated, going back to Coach Cockley years ago and going back to the Mel Knowlton days, way back when, Len Dawson was wearing a uniform. There's been a lot of success over the years. This year, I think the thought is with a guy like, a Zerbrug leading you guys, that a postseason run could be possible. You lose in the first round last year. What's it going to take that step and win a couple games?
Yeah, I think, I think last year was a great experience for us because a lot of those kids had not played in a playoff game of that magnitude. So I think getting there and getting that experience, it kind of prepares them now. We were in a great position that game. We had a 2-score lead and kind of let it slip away in the second half. So I think that was really a good learning experience for our guys, and having a lot of those kids back, like I said, to build upon that and, going into week 11, knock on wood this year, I think gives them, that sense of confidence and know what to expect when you go against a quality opponent, because no matter who you play in the playoffs, it's going to be a quality opponent.
Coach Tim Goodman of the Alliance Aviators. Coach, we wish you the best of luck this season.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to see everything that the season holds out at Alliance. Thanks for stopping by with us. Man. Absolutely. Coach Tim Goodman of the Alliance Aviators stopping by over here. I've seen so many people that I know already too pass by the table over here, and we've been with you for almost an hour now. And gosh, who all have we talked to? We've hit a pretty good amount of coaches. We talked to Tim Goodman from Alliance. We talked to Spider Miller from East Canton. We spoke with AJ Sarbaugh from Fairless. We chatted with Lake Stand George, Louisville's Chris Kappas. We had, Zach Slade stop by. We had Brian Gamble, Kevin Henderson, and Matt Gulling from St. Thomas, Sandy, and Tuslaw, respectively. So we've had a nice amount of folks pass by here. Speaking of Brian Gamble, the patriarch of the Gamble family, Frank Gamble, passing by. How you doing, Coach? Well, thank you, Coach. You're a good-looking guy yourself.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. That's a legend right there. Coach Frank Gamble doing it for so many days. Other friends passing by the table as well. I get like this every year where I get a week before high school football, and I know that anybody who does games kind of has this feeling of like, I have to prep each week. I have to go through calling coaches. I have to do this. I have to do that. But then you start talking with them and you're like, dang, I can't wait to see some football. I can't wait to see some guys hitting each other and just going back and forth. And we'll bring in a guy here that's going to be calling games this year, and that's Ryan Keller, who's going to be one of our stream crews this year. You heard him last year with Clint on the radio, but back on the stream this year. And Ryan, I look into this year, and I'm just so excited. So many great storylines entering the year. Stark County football, we always say, can it top last year? And it seems like this year is going to be better than last year.
Yeah, and just with you talking about the preparation and getting ready for the season and seeing all the coaches walk in and getting to talk to them again, like it really gets you going. And to think that next Thursday we're kicking off high school football on the Q92 Sports Network, and we're bringing you 7 games a week for the entire season. It's really awesome, and it gets you the adrenaline pumping, and you're ready to go, and we're ready, and the season looks incredible. The lineup of games that we have, I'm really excited to it. The storylines, the players coming back from last year. That's the coolest thing to me as well, is seeing that name pop up that you didn't hear from last year, that all of a sudden is making a name for themselves. And that's what's really exciting to me, because the big names that are coming back. It's that guy that was a sophomore who got a little bit of playing time last year, but all of a sudden his name is popping up on the papers and in your broadcast, and you're like, where did this guy come from?
Right.
And then being able to talk to the coaches and hearing, this is what he did in the offseason. This is the camps he went to. This is the training regimen he had to get ready to take that next step up. It's really exciting. That's my favorite part of high school football.
Well, and like Ryan said, a great first week that we have planned. Thursday, we have Perry and Central Catholic on Q92 with Clint and Jim Ballard on the stream. We have Sandy Valley and Fairless all have the call there. And my dad will be joining me as my color guy this year, which is very exciting for us. George, you'll get to know him throughout the year. And then our slate of games on Friday night, the Maslin-Valdosta game will be on the radio Q92. Alliance and Lake on our AM with Clint and
Christian.
Christian and Ryan Alessio will be there. And then Bookdale will play Hoover. That's one of our stream games. McKinley against Warren Harding. Mentor against Jackson. West Branch against Canfield. and then Louisville against New Philly. Those are our slate of games going into next week. And I saw him passing by, and I just grabbed him immediately, and I said, "You got to sit down." And that's the head coach of the Canton South Wildcats, head coach Matt Dennison. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
And glad to have you here with us on our Facebook, our Twitter, and on YouTube. Coach, it was a special year last year for you guys. 9-4. You guys win 2 playoff games. You play late into the postseason. What's it been like going into this offseason and watching things progress for these kids going into next year?
Well, I really enjoyed the fact that we ended on a high note last year, played very well at the end of the year, but the way we finished the year was a little bit of hunger left in our kids, hunger left in everyone in the program, because we saw ourselves get to a good point, but it wasn't the point that where we wanted to be at. We thought we could have been better last year, and we thought there were some things that we definitely need to improve on. So we really it was a great off season. We went to work. Our kids had a sense of purpose in them. This is year 3 for me, and the weight room. I really feel that the weight room took in this off season. So we're a lot bigger. We're a lot stronger than we were last year.
Coach, you've got a player at quarterback that I think could be compared to Dominique Wilkins because he's a human highlight reel. That's Poochie Snyder. Tell me what it's like to have him on your side and just the things that he does that maybe we don't always hear about, and the intangibles that he brings and the attitude that he brings. What's it like to have Poochie wearing the colors for you?
No, it's always great to have someone like him at the throttle. He's the guy that makes it tick, and he has all the tangibles and intangibles. That's what makes him so special. He can make every throw. He's a 4.4 40 guy. He's elusive as heck in the pocket. But the mental side of the game is where he's great. I mean, he sees the game. The game, I think, it must be slow for him because some of the things he does, you can tell that he plays at a faster level. And the thing that people don't realize about him that everyone they see all these spectacular plays, but he does the routine things. He does, he completes 70% of his passes, and in our offense, I've never had anybody that completed 70% of their passes, and he does all those little things that you have to do to be great.
Last thing for you, it's not just Poochie, it's everyone else around him, but I do want to ask, you set that 9-4 expectation last year of making a run in the playoffs, getting to that level, being a game away from a regional title. How do you guys follow that up, and how do you continue to raise that bar? And what have those conversations been like with this group of seniors, Coach?
Yeah, well, none of us were happy with the way that ended. We thought we let that last game get away. We thought that was a game that we should have won, and we could have put ourselves in a better position. So, that was something that it didn't settle right with us in the off season, and we worked towards that. We weren't real happy. I mean, it was a great season, and for what South has experienced in the past, everyone thought that was a great season, but it wasn't one that we felt was great. We thought it was good, but we knew that there were a lot more things that we could do this year, and that's what we focused on.
Coach, we can't wait to see the Wildcats in action this year.
Appreciate
Coach Matt Dennison of the Canton South Wildcats, best of luck this season. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Coach Matt Dennison stopping by, and pleased to welcome in another coach to the table here, and a guy that, I was really looking forward to talking to him tonight. And I don't know, he might either be surprised to hear that or happy to hear that. I'm not sure, but that's head coach Tim Speakman of the Minerva Lions. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Coach, I find the position that you're in to be one that I'm able to come up with some really interesting questions, because I think a coach like you that's in a position where there's been so much success at Minerva, the hallways bleed with the success that Minerva has had over the years, going back to the days of Coach Mullen, going back to the days even well before that Minerva has had. For a position that you're in, trying to get that program back to there, what's the offseason like for you this year, going into year 2 and trying to continue to reinstall that culture?
Well, that's number one. That's a great statement. I was blessed enough to grow up in Minerva and be a part of some of those dynasties that Minerva football. And I also had Coach Mullen as a coach, and then also coached for him. So I was very blessed to have been a part of the success in Minerva. I moved away and came back after 30 years, and you said a mouthful. We have to change a culture, and the off season was big for us. There was three things that we had to do. Number one, we had to improve our strength in the weight room. We're about 3 years behind in the weight room. Wow. And that was a huge part of what we had to improve. The second thing that we had to improve was our football IQ. Just understanding situational football, the difference between third and long and third and short. Also have to know how to use the field and landmarks, hash marks, numbers on the field for spacing, leveraging, and that type of thing. So we spent a lot of time on film in the off season and a lot of time going out on the field and just teaching kids spatial awareness and how to use the field to their advantage. So improving that football IQ was a big thing. The other thing that we did is we reduced our offensive stuff and defensive stuff because last year we were trying to figure out what can we do with the type of athletes that we had and what we couldn't do. So learning all that stuff and building on that throughout the off season was big for us. And then the last thing, changing the culture, is being committed to football and being committed to the weight room in the off season. If you weren't playing another sport, that was big for us. And it's not just getting the kids committed, but we had to get the parents committed to getting them there. And about 95% of our kids were committed throughout the whole off season. So I'm very blessed as to see the improvement that we've made. We still have a long way to go, but we've made drastic improvement.
Got one more question for you. For a program that has struggled with getting those wins, and obviously there's a love for you of the program because you're a Minerva guy. You love the city, you love the kids, you love the community. It's in your blood. I mean, it truly is. For someone to keep encouraging these kids, how important would it be to notch a couple wins this year to build that culture even further?
Oh, that would be really big for us. They haven't won in a long time at Minerva. And, just getting a couple wins under our belt would help. But I will be honest with you, what our goal is just to compete. We want to be able to physically compete with people. And as long as we're getting better each week, the wins and losses will come with time. But I think the biggest thing for us is just to be able to go out there and compete, because last year we had a very difficult time competing with people. And we're just hoping that we can go out there and compete this year. And if we can do that and week to week get better, I'll be very happy.
Coach Tim Speakman entering his second year at Minerva.
Thank you very much.
Coach, I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
Best of luck this season.
Thank you, and God bless.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And bring in another coach to the table now. And he's got on just a jacket that I admire every single time that I see him. And that's head coach Nate Moore of the Massillon Tigers. I really want one of those orange jackets. I think it's really just a classic look. And we've got all the bells on the one side for the wins over McKinley. Coach, entering another year for you, a year that expectations are always so high in the program that you've built at Massillon. Let's talk about that culture and what it's taken over the years that you've been there to build that culture and continue to finesse and work on that culture each season.
It's just hard work, John. There's no finesse to it. Just going to work every day and getting everybody to work, to absolutely work their tails off. Our coaches work tremendously hard. Our players work tremendously hard. There's no secret to success. It's hard work every day.
Let's talk about the first game of the year for you guys. Valdosta, I know there's maybe more outside noise than internal noise for this game, but the excitement of the showcase of that, getting to see Ohio versus Georgia, the records, the notes that are on the line, the storyline that exists. Where's the excitement level with the kids for that? And where's the excitement level that you sense with the city for that?
We're very excited. It's a historic matchup. This is a game that's been talked about for at least the last 30 years, probably the last 50. Valdosta is number one all time in wins in the United States of America. We sit at number 4 now. Very similar communities, very similar football programs. And both have great players. So it's an honor to take the field with them. We are stoked that this game happened. It's an honor to play in it, and we're looking forward to it.
Coach, last thing for you. You come off of another season where it was a deep run into the postseason, and obviously the seniors last year contributed so much to that. Tell me about this group of seniors this year and what they've done to continue to set that bar high that you've set over the years at Massillon.
Just continued the standard of how hard we work as a program. And that all starts in the weight room. It starts with Coach Studer. But it's nothing special, John. It's just go to work every day. Try to be a better player tomorrow than you were today. Just empty the bucket every day. There's really no secret to it.
Coach, best of luck this season.
Thanks, John.
And wish you success as you go into the year. Head coach Nate Moore of the Massillon Tigers stopping by and joining us here. And welcome in next, Coach Scott Garcia of the Glen Oak Golden Eagles. Good to see you. It's another season here upon us and another year for you. And, I think this journey for you of trip 2 to here, let me help you fix your microphone there a little bit. So that, there. Let me help you there.
There we go.
Just want to make sure people can.
I need a lot of help.
It's in your old old age, right, Coach?
It.
Coach, I know that this journey kind of started for you a couple of years back now. You coming back to Glen Oak, it's obviously home for you. It's the alma mater for you. It means so much to you. Being back and now really having your footing under you again, having the culture where you maybe won it again. What's the excitement level going into this season for you?
Yeah, we obviously took our lumps the last few years. We played a lot of young kids with the idea we're building for the future, and that's kind of what we did. We kind of weeded out some guys that didn't want to conform to what we wanted to do and trust the process that we established. And our guys have bought in, and they're excited. They had a really good scrimmage the other day, and we're excited.
The talent level that's going to be there on the field. You've got the Burts, you've got the quarterback back in Anderson, you've got a number of pieces on defense that are back. What can people expect on the field this year? I know, as you said, you took the lumps the past couple of years, but do you think the speed is back there? Do you think the hitting is back? Do you think the culture is back?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when it comes to wins and losses and when we actually play a game. But I'll tell you, when I first came back, I couldn't get them to hit each other. I mean, it was like a giant pillow fight every week. And we have pads cracking, and it's been exciting at practice. Guys are getting after each other, and, it's been a lot of fun. Really has this year.
Well, and I know that that's the expectation that you have, because when you were there, I mean, Coach Cummings would have expected nothing less than that. If you didn't hit each other in practice, it was a bad day, I'm sure. What's that been like for these kids? Because I was just talking earlier, I forget who it was, but they were saying that kids are different now. 10 years ago, it's much different than it is even now. And there's been that adapting process. Have you noticed that too, Coach?
I'm not so sure kids are different. I think the society's obviously different. I think parents are different. But once you get the kids, they want discipline. They still want to work. They still want to be good at what they want to do. I'm not so sure, with all the phones and all the goofy things that are out there in the world that have an influence on those guys, who's to say if we had all the stuff that they have, we'd have been different, right?
Right.
So kids are kids. There's no doubt.
I did ask Coach Spider-Miller earlier if he's on TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
No.
Nowhere near, right?
No, I don't even know what the hell it is.
Coach Scott Garcia of the Glen Oak Golden Eagles. Coach, best of luck this season.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by with us.
Thanks.
Yep, we'll talk to you as the season goes along, and can't wait for it.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Coach.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Coach Scott Garcia of the Glen Oak Golden Eagles, and continue our coaching conversations here.
He'll know what it is.
I think we're down to you'll know what TikTok. Coach Antonio Hall going to step in here next, and then we've got a couple guys that might be fighting each other back there. I'm not sure. Coach Baum and Coach Rohr. You might have to.
I know you was waiting in line. I thought you was hanging out.
You might have to separate them from each other. I'm not sure how that works when you get two rivals next to each other like that. If they need the separation or if they just keep each other separated from each other. And Coach Brian Baum of North Canton joining us. I saw you throw a little punch at Coach Rohr. No, not really. Coach Baum, thanks for stopping by. And obviously the excitement level for another season at Hoover. So many great things last year for you guys. 8-4, maybe not all of the games that you wanted to go in your favor, but a lot of really good things happened last year, and you continue to set that bar a little bit higher every year. Tell me this group of seniors and what it's been like for them seeing that bar set that high.
They've got to see some good senior groups go through with leadership, and it's always very important for the culture. Culture goes a long way, and we had a lot of good leadership last year, maybe even trumped our talent at times. But because we had that leadership, they brought the young guys along, and our young guys got to see some good leadership. This year's seniors a small group; we only have 12 of them. It's one of the smallest groups we've ever had there, and this is a group that almost didn't have a freshman team. So we knew it was coming in there, but there are guys out there that are willing to fight and push it and be leaders for us, and so we're seeing some good things out of the small but a mighty group, in our opinion.
Also, for you guys this year, you return a bunch of really key pieces. The quarterback is back. Let's start there. Carson, the growth from 2 years ago, where I think so many times you guys went away from throwing with him, because he was so inexperienced as a sophomore. Tell me about that maturation process and watching him grow over the last couple of years, Coach.
You bring him up when he was a young guy. He was thrown into that fire, and he's just matured. And I love that word because the experience has allowed him to mature to where he's making really good decisions for us, and we're putting a lot on his plate this year. And each and every play he's making a decision, and he makes us right, and he makes more decisions. We're going to have more victories, and we appreciate that, what he's doing for us. And we have some skill to surround him with. We have a nice run game, good receivers out there as long as we stay healthy. And we have some depth with our young guys that are coming up there. We're excited about them. And, our area of concern is the O-line and the linebacker core. So those are two groups that need to mature and need to continue to step up. And, you got to learn you're playing 5-as-1. For the O-line and the linebacker core, they have to understand what they have to do to keep getting better. And those two groups keep getting better. We stand a chance each Friday night.
Last thought for you, Coach, and this is something that I've noticed as your teams have grown each year, but the sign of your teams, I think, is those linebackers and the defense that plays from sideline to sideline and runs route out there. Even though maybe they're not where you want them to be, are you seeing that effort out of them in practice?
Yeah, we are. They're going 100 miles an hour. Now we're going to point them in the right direction at 100 miles over times. But no, we're seeing that, guys. We're seeing competition and guys competing for positions, and that's the fun part is you're seeing guys push each other to get better, and they're kind of nudge each other. No, I'm in. No, I'm in. And that's the stuff I want. I want that competitive spirit because that's the only way to get better is to be competing at all times. And we have that culture going right now, and I'm real proud of that. And with coaching linebackers, seeing those guys move and stuff like that, it's real important to me because those guys are playmakers, and we have an experienced D-line, so we got to be able to make the plays off them when they hold the blockers off us.
It's the way it was for you at Dalton back in the day in high school, right?
Yeah.
Head coach Brian Baum at North Canton Hoover. Coach, best of luck this season.
Thank
Absolutely.
You.
Can't wait to see what the Hoover Vikings have in store. Got two more, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to start it first with head coach Jay Rohr of the Jackson Polar Bears. I'll tell you what, you've got on the great Nikes, the purple and gold Nikes. He had on the did you see him? He had on the orange and black Nikes.
Oh, I missed him.
Coach Baum did. Somebody's got to get a picture of that. That's classic. Coach Rohr, thanks for stopping by with us here and chatting with us and sitting down and wanting to have the conversation. Obviously going into year 2 for you, you set so much of that groundwork that probably a lot of it was already there with Coach Bud stepping out and you kind of stepping in, but now this group really knows you. What's that been like in year 2 to have them know you and get to know you on a better level as a coach, and maybe the expectations are more defined for them?
Yeah, that's just it. And you're exactly right. Again, going back to 2 years ago, I mean, Coach Bud, he certainly did the 7-8 years that he was here, certainly laid the groundwork. But yeah, just taking, a lot that you learn from multiple head coaches and you implement it and turn it into your own. And, I'll say it to this day, I'm a player's coach, and they take that, they listen, they're coachable, they work hard, they got great character, and really they've bought into everything that not only do I preach, but our assistant coaches preach. And it's really been a great offseason, certainly a great summer.
Coach, I know that there were some really young players at certain positions last year, especially at quarterback by the end of the year. And there was kind of a revolving door there at times last year. Do you feel like you have that settled in where you want it? And how important is that going to be to the success that you guys achieved this year?
No, it's obviously it's number one. When you talk about things, you certainly need someone to lead the offensive huddle and lead our huddle in general. And it's kind of settled in. We had a great quarterback battle really throughout the summer with all three, and Lucas Eckerman, Joe Lattarulo, and Nathan Kuntz. And we just met going into this past week, and Lucas Eckerman certainly he took the lead, especially after our last scrimmage. And then Nathan Kuntz became our backup, and then just an integral part of our team in general is Joe Lattarulo from a leadership standpoint, and he's accepted that role and that responsibility, in the secondary, and accepted, the opportunity to play running back as well. So he's going to play running back this year, and he's excited, and we're excited for him.
Coach, last thought for you. When you were a polar bear back in the day, you guys reached that pinnacle that everybody wants to find. You guys were Federal League champs. You were the player of the year. You guys did all of the, I guess, off the field and on the field goals that a team should want to set. What's it going to take for this group of guys to reach that same pinnacle, and how can you help bestow them to get them there?
Well, I think, again, I just, touched on it. We preach, hard work, our players being coachable, and obviously having great character. And it's the game of football, and physicality has got to be an important part. So our kids, we got to preach physicality. We got to do those three things that I just mentioned, and we got to take a step forward. Again, we're going to be a young team, having graduated 41 seniors last year and only having 16 back this year. But we believe in not having excuses, and we set the bar high for ourselves. And we look at, what I was able to do with our schedule, and our administration was able to do with our schedule. In order to get to where we want to go, we want to play the best. And like I said, our kids have accepted that responsibility. And like I said, we're excited for the season.
Coach Rohr,
appreciate you.
Best of luck this season.
Thanks so much.
Can't wait to see you guys play, and great to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Last coach of the night, and we'll save one of the best for last, I'll say it, with Coach Antonio Hall stopping by over here, the head man of the McKinley Bulldogs. No matter where you're at, everyone in Stark County is always wondering what's happening over at McKinley on the football field, and how are things shaping up for the year. And Coach Antonio Hall, our final guest of the day. Coach, thanks for stopping by, my friend.
Kalinichta, how you doing?
Hey, I love it. Kalinichta to you. Let's talk about the season going into this year, and for you guys. 6-6 last year. On the cusp, I felt like at times of really achieving some special things, but some of those things came up short. The 0-4 start, the 6-2 finish. What did the guys learn in those last 8 games?
That you can't cut corners, and ultimately, if you don't hold yourself to the standard that we set, no matter what you do, you're going to come up short. And I think that was a learning curve. I think that was a process we had to go through to burn out some impurities of our team. And once they realize that, hey, if we hold each other accountable and we do this thing right, we're very talented and we can put this thing together. And that's what we did for the stretch.
Coach, I know a lot of people are thinking this question in Canton, and a lot of people are asking it. How important? It's always important, but how much would it mean to finally get that monkey off the back and win that game in Week 10?
Oh, it's huge. It's been a while. We understand that. And that program over there has done a great job with their trajectory and where they're taking it. And Nate's done a great job. And so hats off to them. And, we've been playing catch up a little bit, but I think now we're pretty even. So I look forward to Week 10.
Hey, you love to hear that. It's a great sign when you hear that from the head man at McKinley. Last thing for you, the talent all the way around. Nino Hill, Keaton Rohde, Dante McClellan. There's a list from here to Calabash that I could give you of guys that are going to be talented this year. How do you take all that talent and make it work and make it so that each guy has their defined role where they're supposed to be?
Well, that's one of the challenges when you do have a lot of talent in the room is one, making everybody understand that it's not about them, and our guys are doing a great job of buying into the team and knowing that everybody's going to get their turn, everybody's going to get their shot. We're going to share the ball. We have plenty of plays for guys to make. You just got to be ready when your number's called. And I think guys have accepted that, and I really like our energy going into the season this year.
Coach Efcaristo, to you for stopping by.
You know it.
I appreciate it, and best of luck this season to you.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to see the Bulldogs in action. Head coach Antonio Hall of the Canton McKinley Bulldogs, a 6-6 year last year, but you heard it from him right there. He said he thinks they're ready to take down the big dog out west that's kind of owned the rivalry as of recent. All right, I got to get going. I got somewhere I got to be really quickly, and I don't have time to get there. So it's been a pleasure to talk with all of you, and I've had an absolute blast doing this. Thanks to every coach that stopped by, Coach Goodman from Alliance, Coach Dennison from Canton South. We talked to John Spider-Miller from East Canton, AJ Sarbaugh from Fairless, Glen Oaks, Scott Garcia, Hoover's Brian Baum, Jay Rohr from Jackson stopped by, Dan DeGeorge from Lake, Chris Kappas from Louisville, really excited about what he's going to do with the program. Nate Moore from Massillon stopped by with the Great Orange Jacket. McKinley's Antonio Hall was our last guest. Minerva's Tim Speakman. Zach Slates from Perry was our first guest. Kevin Henderson from St. Thomas. Sandy Valley's Brian Gamble. And Matt Gulling from Tuslaw. And just to put it out there, I realized that Coach Linda Smith from Central Catholic, Coach Cardinal from Marlington, and did you see Coach John DeMarco just sneak away ever so slowly from Northwest? We'll get you later this season, Coach. We'll be there for you. All right, that's going to be it for today. Thanks to Ryan Keller. Thanks to Jake, my man who's running things for me here on StreamYard. And thanks to all of you for tuning in on the Q92 Sports Facebook, the Q92 Twitter, and on Q92 at YouTube. We will repost this later, and you guys can watch it at a later date with each interview. And remember what the night was here for the 2023 High School Coaches Preview Show at St. Geralambos Church on 25th in Canton. Jon Bozeka saying so long. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you next week from a stadium in Stark County.